Okay, very good.
So I will count to, once I count to three, I will begin. One, two, and... Hi, welcome to the National Critics' Choice Online News. I'm Robin Stienberg, and welcome to my show again. Today we have a very distinguished musician and maestro here in Singapore, who came all the way from Mexico, and to celebrate the 202nd anniversary with the Mexican people here in Singapore, as well as the community. And it's none other than Mr. Fernando de la Mora, who was born in Mexico City, where he studied at the National Conservatory with Leticia Velasquez and Rosa Remo, if that's correct. And his first performance of a main character took place in the city of Zelpa with Medaba Butterflies Pickathon in 1986. And this was the beginning of a very successful career that has brought Mr. de la Mora to the most important stages to Mexico and the world. And he has performed in places like the Metropolitan Opera House in New York, the Scala di Milan, the Vienna Staatsoper, the Belzona Lazio, Stella Opera of Paris, as well as the Royal Opera of Stockholm, the Cologne Theatre of Buenos Aires, Argentina, Covent Garden in London, and among many other distinguished opera houses around the world. Mr. Fernando, thank you for joining us here in the National
Oh,
Critics'
thank you
Choice.
very much to invite me to join your audiences.
Yes, and here in Singapore, we've seen your greatest performance ever, and many have adored and wanting to find out what's it life like for you growing up in Mexico and wanting to aspire to be one of the greatest tenors of all time.
Well, to tell you the truth, I was not in my, when I was a boy, when I was a teenager, it was not in my mind to be a tenor. It was just a pleasure. I sing for pleasure, in my house with my sister, my mother, and I didn't have any in my mind to be a tenor. That came later when my sister announced that she wanted to be married, and she asked me to sing the Ave Maria in her wedding. And then my mother sent me to Leticia Velasquez. She's the wife of the best friend of my father. She studied singing in the conservatory, and I went to improve my voice and to have some kind of technique to be able to sing Ave Maria of Charles Gounod. The beautiful Ave Maria was written over the prelude of Bach, and it's very, very difficult to sing. The range of is much more difficult than the Schubert's one. And then I took lessons for 1.5 years until the wedding. The wedding I was very successful with the singing, and finally my voice. It was not the story didn't finish there. In the moment when I was at the beginning, my voice grew very big, and it was impossible to ignore my voice at that moment. And then is when I start to decide to the possibility to be a singer.
So how old were you then?
I was 18 years old.
Oh, 18 years old.
18 years old.
So
I was kind of old to start my preparation as a musician, but I like it very much.
So it was by accident.
It was almost by accident. Almost.
So, and how was Mexico like at that time when you were 18?
It was a beautiful country, very peaceful and very. We were at that time maybe it was less than 10 million people living in the city. It was kind of a busy city, but it was a nice city. We can go outside in the bicycle. It was not Nintendos, or it was not the TV was not what is right now.
But was opera?
We perform. We were attached with the sports, and we were outside in the streets with our friends with bicycles. It was very different.
But was opera the most common art form?
No, not at all. Not in my family. It was not opera. We know about opera, but they were not fans of opera in my family.
No.
I made them fans of the opera later.
But how about in Mexico? The climate of the art scene, was opera a very common art form?
It was yes, in the beginning, because remember that in the 50s and early 60s, Maria Callas came to Mexico, and it was really a big success, a big event in Mexico and all around the world. But in Mexico, in Bellas Artes, she performed in Bellas Artes. That was a big event in Mexico, and the people turned their eyes to the opera for her and Di Stefano and another singers.
So I believe you were inspired.
Yes, later when I discovered that, yes, but in the beginning, before the wedding of my sister, I ignored all those things.
So today, as you have has become almost accomplished, opera singers around the world, and you've recorded more than 20 albums to your name. Is that correct?
30.
30. Wow.
Yes.
I lost count. Would you recall any most memorable experience that you have in your career?
Well, I have many experience, much more good ones than bad ones. Basically the bad ones, they are related with the missing of my family. I have 2 or 3 very bad moments. One of them, it was the death of my father. Well, not my father, my grandfather. That he was like my father, because my father died. My real father died 5 days before I was born. And it was a tragedy for my family, but not for me, because for me, I was completely covered with my family in the beginning of my life, because he was I was so protected with them, because they think I was missing, my father, and the father of my mother became my father, and he was such a nice person, and he died the day when I made my debut in La Scala de Milan.
Really?
And I could not come back to Mexico to bury him, it was bad. It was that very sad moment in my career, in my life. One of the saddest days of periods of life. And other very desperate moment, it was, I have in 92. In 92, I was performing with, I was alternating performances in Liceo de Barcelona with Luciano Pavarotti, and it was a great moment of my career, and it was fantastic. Pavarotti canceled, he was ill, and I needed to jump on his performances, but at the same moment, it was the birth of my daughter, my only daughter. I have 3 kids and a daughter, and I met her 15 days after she was born.
Wow.
That was difficult.
It is.
Yes, those are difficult moments in my life and my career.
Did you give her a special name since she was born?
No. We choose the name much really from the beginning of the pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have sure what we have. Her name is Andrea, and but it was a very, very difficult moment. It was a great moment for my career to sing in Elisir da Mora in Liceo de Barcelona, but at the same time it was difficult because I wanted to be in Mexico with my wife, with the birth of it was such a difficult moment.
Would your children be inspired, or are they inspired by your career, and do they wish to follow your path as an opera singer?
Sorry?
For your children, your 3 daughters, is that correct?
Three kids
3 kids.
and 1 daughter.
Oh yes, sorry.
And the daughter is the younger one.
Oh, okay. But all your children that you have, are they inspired to follow your footsteps and become opera singer?
No, I think they because for them opera is related with the missing of the father, and they didn't really not like a lot opera. They like it, and they come to my performances, and they enjoy it, but not to be a singer. No. I have in my family when the other son is in business administration, economist. He has a master's degree in economics and business administration of higher enterprises, and then the second one is a painter, is an artist, and Gabriel, the third one, he's in the university in Australia, in Melbourne, studied there for civil engineer, and my daughter, she's doing communication in the university, nothing with the singing. All of them, they are very musical, and they love music, but not opera.
Let's speak about opera. What were your experience like in trying to cultivate the techniques for your voice, especially when after your first performance at a wedding, by accident, and then was your mother very supportive to actually encourage you to further your career?
No, not at all. In the beginning, it was like a joke. It was like just something like that to sing in the wedding. But when she saw that I could be a singer, she was not so happy.
Really?
Really. She wanted me to be like a normal person, like a business administration, like any one of the family. But later, my voice convinced everyone. Convinced me first, and then to convince my grandfather, my uncles, my family.
Oh, and how long did that take?
Maybe 1 year, I don't know, maybe 6 months, I don't remember.
Now, speaking about being one of the greatest opera singers of all time, have you ever thought about, since you are an accidental talent, how important is being a very creative person like yourself?
Well, this is a matter of attention, to be attentive, and it's a matter of to be disciplined and order in your mind is a wish, because the most important thing for me is to touch people, to touch hearts, to move hearts, to go inside your soul and touch it, and I have a very, very little time to do it, because like last night, I have, how many songs I sang? Maybe 14 songs, and in each song I have 3, 4, 5 minutes to each one, tell you a story, to tell you simple thing, and how can I touch you? I need to touch myself first. I need to feel what I'm saying. I need to communicate to you. This is the most important thing, because it's very nice if you have a good technique. It's very nice if you have a beautiful voice. It's very nice if you look good. But who cares if you don't move? Who cares if you are not? If you are cold and you don't transmit energy. I prefer to have an ugly voice, or to somebody has an ugly voice, but to communicate. You know, it's like that's why popular music is so important to communicate, because the most important thing is the feeling.
Speaking about feelings,
Yeah.
have you ever composed any of your opera pieces? And
I tried,
Oh, you tried.
I tried, but at the end of the work, I discovered that the piece was very similar to many, and then I said, no, this is not mine. This is not for me. But this is like, this is so. You need to specialize for that, you know, and you need to be born as a composer, because if you want to invent to be a composer, maybe you will fail, I guess.
Reinvent. Now, about the reinvention, you know, is there one most memorable moment of your life, and in a good way this time around?
In a good way.
In a good way.
Okay.
No, for the people of Mexico, and as well as for the world, you know, when you perform, is there any one song, or maybe a few songs, that has actually deeply convinced you that it was the right thing to do? It was the right moment for you to express the emotion, especially if there was tragedy like 9/11. Was there?
I think many moments. You know, many moments.
The most important ones.
Well, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to choose ones, because for me every performance is special. Every performance is magic. Like last night here in Singapore, you know, that.
So what was your magic moment last night in Singapore?
Magic moment last night, it was when I finished to sing the fourth song, Non Discordar di Me. At that moment, the audience explodes like this. And I think it was because I explode myself first, and I communicate with them. And it was a moment of that we share emotions. And in the beginning, you know, when I start to feel a lot, and you need to sometimes you hurt yourself feeling what you are saying. And then I start asking my teachers, you know, my coaches in New York, and I say, it's a technique. If I ask them if it exists a technique to avoid emotions and to show them like you are feeling, and they told me, try it. I don't think you can try it. I don't think it's possible.
So you feel naked up on the stage?
Yes, of course.
Expressing your emotion.
Definitely. If you want to move people, you need to move yourself.
Transparency.
That's it.
Especially the last song yesterday you performed for the ambassador's daughter. I think.
Yes.
I like that.
Ambassadors, yes.
Rosita. How was it?
Well, this beautiful kid is adorable, and he's a kid that I met when she was 2 months old, 3 months old.
Really?
Yes. And I saw it because we have a very nice relation with Mr. Villegas and Claudia. his wife, and I really, really, I'm very, very, how can I say?
Compelled.
Yes, with them. Yes, very compelled with them. And I feel this kid as my family, you know.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. And does that actually brought you memories of how your daughter was born?
In certain way, yes. Certain way, yes, 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 yes. Why not?
What were your lessons that you have learned throughout your career that you could impart to tenors like yourself around the world?
Well, many, many things, you know. There are thousands of things that change your life, that change your technique. Basically, the technique, singing technique is not so complicated. You need a certain years to develop a technique and to become a reliable singer, to be able to be contract and to be responsible and to be successful. You need to develop a technique, but that technique is just the beginning. It's just something that is like a gear that you need to develop much more things, much more things. And the most important thing is to be exquisite and to be detailed in any way, not just a singer. You're an actor too. You're a human being on stage who represent all the souls that are sitting in there, and you are the contact of the drama between the stage and the audience. You are the connection.
So that's your philosophy.
Yes, and if you don't do that role, the success will not be completely for you. Maybe they will say, "Oh, what a beautiful voice! What a beautiful color of the voice! What a beautiful high notes! What a beautiful legato! What a beautiful." But I don't care that. I said, "What a singer! What a performer!" I was completely moved, and you became another kind of. It's another kind of success. It's like it's the big success of Rolando Villazón, for example. He didn't have the best technique in the world. Who cares? He has the best. He's the best performer ever for me.
Now, how is the art scenes like in Mexico? And are there more individuals like yourself who are aspiring to become tenors?
Well, Ramon Vargas is one of the most famous, actually, tenors in the world. Rolando Villazón, Javier Camarena, David Lomelí. There are many. They are really in a very high level. Mexico is one of the most important countries.
So it has coaching schools and
No.
universities.
Yes, but the most important is all of them. They flew out to Mexico, out to Ramon Vargas in Vienna, Camarena. He did in Mexico, but then he went to Germany, and Lomelí to the United States, and all of them. I flew to New York also, and many they are in Luis Chapa in London. Many singers, many Mexican singers. Maria Alejandres, a young soprano, she did last year her debut in La Scala de Milan and Covent Garden. She's becoming one of the most important ones.
But are there any plans in the future where coaching schools will be built in Mexico?
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of my goals. This
Sounds
is one of my goals, and I think we deserve a better preparation in Mexico. We don't need to avoid them, all the singers to go out of Mexico to like an exod, you know, se dice exod?
Exodus.
Exods, and I think we deserve better preparation in Mexico.
well, but that'll be a good
I
news.
hope, and I think it will be, instead of to produce 10 tenors per decade, to produce 100, it would be great, or to produce 1,000. We have the voices for that. The talent is there, and the color of the voices, they are the Latin color of Mexican voices. They are very, very appreciated in the opera world.
Of course, and I think many of my viewers around the world, including Singapore, who would like to come to Mexico and learn from you. That would be great.
I would love to do it.
So, now, how did you overcome some of these obstacles in your career, in becoming one of the greatest tenors? Because it can be very difficult, especially when you first start your career. It must be difficult for you to get an agent or a manager, sort of.
That's another process. That's the business. That doesn't need to be nothing with the artistry. It's a side. It's parallel. It's very important, very, very important, because it's the reality. You know, you need to bring food to your family. You need to bring money to develop many things: responsibilities, education, home, cars, many. It's very expensive, and we need to think like that. And it's the least important thing, and it's very important to see the opera singer, to be as an opera singer, to be as a businessman, you know.
So you must have managed everything.
That's a
all
very
by
difficult
yourself.
thing. Yeah, I did it myself, you know, with my coaches, they recommend me something, and they talk and they said, and you start to search, and then finally, in my case, I didn't fight at all, because they found me. They found me. I was lucky.
How do you manage to balance your work life as well as your family? And how did your family, especially your children, while they were growing up, were they very supportive in what you're doing?
Well, it's very difficult to separate both things, but you need to do it. You need to do it because it's this kind of how can I say, the work of a singer, you know, that is so demanding and demands all your attention. It's very, very demanding. And then when you really, all your energy, many times when you learn a new role, for example, you need concentration, you need it's the best for when you learn a role is like you can be out of your house for 2 weeks and dedicated for that. You need to sleep very well, you need to eat very well, you need to be very, very responsible with your physical condition, because you are singing many hours a day, memorizing this role, and intellectually to become that character is is too much information, and then and at the same time you have your family, and the most important thing is your family, not the role. But how can you develop this character of the role with your family? It's so difficult to detach, you know, to separate it is so difficult. But you need to do it. It's not a technique. You need to be very strong, and your mind needs to be very strong, and you need to decide to do both things, because if you are not attentive, you can hurt your family, or the opposite, you can not become the best performer if you are not. You know, you need to really be very strong and decide to be strong, and decide in your mind that you are able to do it.
How many hours do you spend?
Well,
practicing?
sometimes from 8 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock. When you learn a role, you go forward all this time, 5 hours in the morning, and then in the afternoon another 4 hours. And you need to really go forward for that. And when you are rehearsing opera, it's like that. They call you in the morning at 10 o'clock in the theater to rehearse from 10 o'clock to 1, and then to 4 to 7, and many times 7 to 10 with chorus. And you need to be there all the time. You are not singing all the time, but you need to be attentive to what's going on on stage, to jump and to be part of the show. And it's like that.
Wow. Now, Mr. Fernando, last night your performance is probably one of the best, but if I dare ask you, was there any regret if you had not delivered maybe just one song in your mind? Because I felt something was missing somehow, after you sang the last song. But I felt that maybe you could have sang just one more song, maybe. Was that? Do you have that in your mind?
Yes, of course, always. I feel that I could sing with this kind of audience. I could sing opera, for example. I was, the subject of the concert was the 202nd anniversary of the independence of Mexico. And the most important thing was to sing Mexican songs and to develop. But at the same time, we're in Singapore, and it is an international community, and we need to share emotions also. And in Italian songs, they are a little more related with the rest of the world. Of course, the most famous ones of last night was Granada, for example. And I have also, I could sing also, it was missing Bésame Mucho, for example.
That was missing.
That was missing, yes.
Yes.
Yes, that was missing.
So yeah, that.
Yes, and also I think we could sing maybe 2 arias at the beginning. The flower song of Carmen, for example, and Pourquoi me réveiller de Werther, or Allez-toi soleil of Romeo. I don't know. One of those arias.
Before we go, one advice, well, I won't say advice, but is there one code that you live by every day since the day that you started your career as a tenor? Did you carry this advice or a code or encouragement from your family member, or probably even from your mentor to this day, that has made you